Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Halland here in Sweden, and this is another brewery who I have never tried anything from, and this beer in particular was one that was recommended by one of you guys following the channel. I tried looking through the comments section on my sort of dashboard and things on YouTube, but I couldn't find the comment where this beer was recommended. So to whoever it was that recommended this beer to me, a huge thank you. Unfortunately I can't individually name you on this one, but very much looking forward to this one. The recommendations that you guys are giving me always seem to throw up some very interesting beers, so do please keep them coming. So for this one, like I said, we're going to go to Halland County here in Sweden, and we're having a taste of my first beer from the Wapnö Gårdbryggeri. This one is the Alna DIPA, coming in at 8% ABV, and just by looking at the bottle you can tell that this one, with the haze on that, this is going to be a New England IPA. So very curious to see how this one turns out, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. This one's actually a very interesting and quite unique company, so I will tell you a little bit more about that as well, and I hope you enjoy it. But if you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from Wapnö Gårdbryggeri. They've got a whole range of beers, so hopefully I can try some more of them at some point. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. And do, as I say, keep these beer recommendations coming. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then. So the Wapnö can basically be found to the north of Halmstad in the southern part of Halland County, and it's an estate that dates back to the 14th century, and it's quite a well-known and quite historical estate at that, but the brewery itself was only opened a couple of years back in 2016. So the first mention of this estate goes back to the year 1379 and the Wapnö Vadstena monastery, but at one stage it was owned by Peter Ribbing, who was reportedly a grandson of Saint Birgitta, but later it was then taken over by the crown in 1410, and this was after the owner Abraham Brodersen Beard was sentenced to have his head removed, basically to be beheaded to death, before it was then passed back to his widow in 1419. But in the 16th century the estate belonged to the Norwegian family Urup, and then to the Beck family, before it passed into the hands of Gustav Otto Stenbock in 1861, who was quite a prominent military figure at the time from what I understand. But he was the first Swedish owner since the monastery, and his son Magnus took over and ran the estate until his death in 1717. Later in 1741, Georg Bogislaus Stale, my apologies, difficult pronunciation there, he was a field marshal and the county governor general of Kalmar. He bought part of the Wapnö estate, and then they founded the Kosta Glassworks along with the Småland county governor Anders Koskul. But together they bought the rest of the estate later for somewhere around 29,000 Riksmarks. And it stayed in the ownership of the same family since then, with the current CEO being Lennart Bengtsson. But on site they've got a castle that dates from the 18th century, and this was completed sometime late in the 1700s. And they've also got an ancient runestone which was moved to the current site in the 20th century. But this is one of the few actually that still exist in Halland County. Today though, Wapnö owns the historical sites, and it employs around 85 people, so it's one of the bigger employers actually in the Halmstad municipality. But on site there's a dairy, there's the brewery, there's the farm shop, a hotel, and also a restaurant. The farm apparently has around 2,500 hectares of farmland, of course, and then about 450 hectares of forest. So the farm produces meat, milk, various different crops actually as well, and they also have a bio plant as well, which drives a lot of their operations, and they've won numerous awards actually for their environmental efforts as well. You can go on the website and they've got a whole host of things about all the different stuff they do. It's actually quite impressive, a lot of the different things that they're trying, but a very interesting company. It seems to be a company that's quite unique actually in Sweden this way. So it reminds me very much of the Fine Ales brewery that we have back home in Scotland, because it's, you know, it's an estate basically, and they've got that one over in Fine Ales. They've got they've got like a salmon hatchery, and they do beef and cheese and all of these kind of random things. They also do oyster farming and stuff, so I guess this is maybe the Swedish equivalent of the Fine Ales brewery over in Kintyre in Scotland. Yeah, really, again, that's another very nice company. If you're interested in Scottish beer, be sure to check them out. So it's kind of cool actually to find a similar company over here in Sweden. And like I said, this is my first encounter with this company, but they seem to be very, very interesting. Hopefully at some point I can actually go up to Halmstad and have a little look, because I've heard that it's a very, very nice city, and if I can take a car up there or something like that, it would actually be cool to drive out to the farm brewery and take a little look at it. So yeah, another really interesting company, and thank you to whoever it was that recommended these guys to me. If you want to learn a little bit more, you can read about the various kind of intricacies of the company, if you like, and what they do. You can look at the brewery website in the description below, and they have tabs to everything there. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. You can follow them of course on Facebook and Instagram as well, and that'll keep you up to date with, pardon me, with all the latest goings on. But yeah, really quite nicely presented, this beer. Quite simple in its artwork, but I guess you could say simple but effective. This W up here, of course, though, is the Wapnö symbol. One other thing I guess I should say about this company is I believe they're actually one of the largest dairies in Sweden, if not the largest. The W, of course, is on the bottle cap there. It doesn't tell you what types of hops and things that they use in this one, but it tells you a little bit more about the actual farm and things like that, and some of the history and stuff on the side here. But yeah, very nicely presented beer, this one, and as I say at the start, a double IPA. Guessing by the haze on the bottle it'll be a New England one, but it comes in at 8% ABV. So without further ado, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting then. Very, very curious to see how this one turns out. So yeah, nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And I'll tell you straight away, I have a feeling, just from the aroma of this, that there are Citra and perhaps Mosaic hops in here. That looks absolutely lovely. Look at that. That's definitely one of the more kind of fruit juicy looking IPAs. That is like soup basically. But you can see the head on this one is just fading away to be a very thin foamy layer actually. So there was about a half finger of a frothy white head on this one, but that's just almost completely faded away. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass on this one, but you can see a few more little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But you know, that really looks, it actually just looks like cloudy apple juice or something like that. I don't think I've ever seen an IPA that is quite this colour. That's really, really interesting. I've never ever seen one that has been quite this colour, but you know, it looks very, very interesting, that actually. You know, let's just take a little look, because it tells you on the side here, it says here, you know, it's basically just hops, water, malt, hops and yeast in this one. So yeah, that's really, really interesting actually. I was wondering, you know, maybe they've got oats or, you know, a lot of wheat malt in this one or something, but yeah, no, this one looks more to be along the lines, according to the recipe list there, as being, you know, like a Reinheitsgebot beer, something like that. But yeah, that's really, really interesting. Somewhere along the lines of a cloudy apple juice, or like a pineapple juice colour, or something like that. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma of this beer and just see how we got on. In terms of appearance, this is one of the more unusual or interesting ones that I've come across recently. So yeah, if I, just to see, you can see how hazy this beer is if I put my fingers behind the glass. That's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. That smells really nice. So yeah, straight away with this beer, I think, I'm still wanting to say I think there's Citra and Mosaic in here. So you've got a nice little bit of mango coming out of this one. And the mango, of course, is the kind of telltale sign of the Citra hop. There's a little touch of grapefruit in there, which you can get depending on what malts and stuff like that you use. So there is a little touch of that slightly darker, more sour, grapefruity aroma in this beer, but a lovely bit of mango-y citrus. I want to say there's a little bit of a kind of juicy tangerine orange to this one. I'm not sure whether to kind of hedge my bets on this one, because I think either this is maybe Citra single hopped, or it's Citra and Mosaic, and I'm leaning a bit more towards saying it's Citra and Mosaic, because it definitely, to me, it has a little bit of that tangerine orangey quality to it, and you, in the complexities, you can definitely pick up a little bit of a sort of it's got a little bit of a lychee kind of note, which the lychee and gooseberry kind of notes, they're what you would normally get from Citra, but there's a little bit of an almost blueberry note coming out of this one as well, and that's mosaic. There's almost a pineapple-y aroma to this beer as well, which is very, very interesting. And the only hop I can really think of you get pineapple from, perhaps. You can sometimes get it from Citra, but the other one would be Galaxy, and Galaxy could potentially be in here. I mean, with Galaxy you'd get a lot of passion fruit as well, but to me this one's more mangoes. Yeah, more mangoes, and there's a little bit of passion fruit in there, I think, but more mangoes and a bit of a tangerine orange, I would say. So yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beers, because you're going to get a hell of a lot out of them actually. Other than that, with this beer, the malt base, definitely a bit of creamy and oaty quality in there, that nice white bready note, very, very creamy aroma to it, this beer, though I think there's a chunk of oats in there. It doesn't say that on the side, which is surprising, but I think there's a good bit of creamy oaky quality to the oaty quality. This one, not oaky, not wood, but yeah, it's got, on the green side of the hops, you've got a nice floral aromaticity to it. You've also got a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy note to the beer as well, which is very, very nice. So yeah, the green side of the hops coming out nicely, and you've also got an oaty kind of bready, biscuity kind of thing to this. The sort of sweeter side of the malt base in this one's reminding me of the McVitie's digestive biscuits that we get back home in Scotland. So yeah, like I said earlier, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it, but we're going to have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Alna Double IPA from the Wapnö Gårdbryggeri just outside of Halmstad in Halland here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Oh yeah, that is a really, really damn good New England IPA. This one, let's just put this in context with the Swedish IPAs. If you compare this to the likes of Brewski and Stigbergets and OO Brewing, I don't think this one looks out of place at that level. That's the sort of level you're talking with this beer, and whoever, the person that recommended me to this one, again, sorry, the name, I couldn't find the original comment that this was recommended to me in, but this beer really is up there with those, and that's what this person said at the time. I think this might be one of the best New England IPAs or double IPAs in Sweden, and I can see why. Really, this is really damn good. If you can get a hold of this beer, have a go at it. Seriously, seriously good. Yeah. Gets a massive thumbs up from me, this one. That's, in a couple of videos recently I've been complaining about, the New England IPAs. I do miss the West Coast IPAs, I'll be straight up about that. I do miss the more sweeter, malty ones with the bigger hop kick to them, but when you come across a New England IPA like this, it's it still is always a treat. But yeah, this is a lovely, lovely beer. Get this if you can get a hold of it, seriously. But yeah, let's try and take a proper look at these flavours now. In the middle of your palate then, you can feel a sort of white bready quality that just blankets the middle of your palate. On top of that, and as you go further into the aftertaste, I think there's a little touch, there is a little tiny bit of an almost wheaty quality to this one. It's not quite got the creaminess that the aroma suggests it might have. There is a little bit of that there. I would suspect that there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in here just as well, because of the way the mouthfeel is. It has a certain kind of crispness to it that reminds me of some of these German and Czech lager beers. And it works quite nicely for it actually. This beer, for a New England IPA and 8%, it does have a good little bit of a kind of crispness to it, which is quite nice. It gives the beer just a really fresh feeling. And the thing is as well, I'm pretty sure I'm drinking this beer fresh. I ordered it on the day that it became available in Systembolaget. I want to say that was the 15th of February. So I'm drinking this beer about about 10 days or so after I actually got a hold of it in the bottle. But you can still feel this beer is pretty damn fresh. But yeah, the way the malt base goes together on this one is really nice. As I say, pale malt at the bottom. I suspect there's a bit of Pilsner malt in there just because of the crispness that this beer has. If you go into the centre of your palate, there is a little bit of an oaty creaminess there, but not too much. A little touch of an almost wheaty smoothness as well, but they're very, very minimal. It's more a pale malty, Pilsner type malt kind of thing that's coming out of this one. In the centre of your palate as well, you get a little bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness. Like I was saying earlier, it reminds me of the McVitie's digestive biscuits and that sort of almost corn syrupy thing that you can get from those beers. And the one thing I would say as well, when you taste this beer, you do know right away this is a stronger, this is definitely a stronger New England IPA. The double IPA, you'd expect that. Some of them are very, very good at covering the alcohol. This one does have a little bit of a hint to it, which indicates to you it's a little bit stronger. And you do want that a little bit. If you're drinking a double IPA, you want to know it's a double IPA. So bear that in mind with this beer. The malt base, I would say, isn't overly surprising with this one. The quirky thing about this is that as I said, I suspect there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in here. So on the hoppy side of things with this beer then, in the back corners of the palate there's a little touch of an earthiness there. Again, this makes me wonder if there's mosaic in here. Mosaic just has a little touch of that earthiness. But as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, the green elements of the hop really start to come out. You've got a nice floral aromaticity. It's almost got a little touch of a spiciness to it. I do wonder if they've maybe used a little bit of Columbus in this beer actually, just because of the way that kind of spiciness is coming out of this beer. I could see them using a little bit of that as the bittering hop in this beer. But it calms down a little bit the further forward you go, and round the very front curve of the tongue it's just a little bit lighter and a little bit more grassy, I would say. But yeah, if you just, the fruity side of this beer is very, very nice as well. If you go behind the front curve of the palate then, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And this one is really quite nice. I mean, it's got a good little bit of a grapefruity quality to it as well, and I think that I've got a feeling that could be coming from the Citra. The other hop that could potentially be in here, just from the flavour, is a little bit of Chinook, because the floral aromaticity in this beer does have a little bit of spiciness to it. It's almost bordering on being quite like resinous, and as I say, there is a good little touch of grapefruit quality to this one. There could be a little bit of Chinook in here, and it's actually difficult to pick out whether I'm torn between saying that it's Columbus and Chinook, because there's characteristics of both in here, but there's definitely, I'm pretty sure there's a little touch, I'm pretty sure, not a little touch, I think there's a good chunk of Citra in here, because you've got that, with that fruity oily bubble at the back of that, you've got grapefruit in there, which can come from the Citra, and if you come further forward in that oily bubble on the front of your tongue, I think there's a little bit of a mango quality to this beer, and then if you come further forward than that, there's a little touch of an almost tangerine orangey note. So there could be different things in here. I'd really be curious to know the hop profile of this one. I always enjoy doing this with these IPAs when you don't know the hops in the beer. It's always fun to have a guess at these and just see what you've got. But I would suspect, I've got a feeling there might be Columbus, Citra, and potentially Mosaic in this one. I'm probably going to go for Columbus in this rather than Chinook. But I mean, overall, like I said, this is a really, really nice beer. The further that you go into the aftertaste, the more the malt based just smooths out a little bit, and you start to get that more kind of creamy feel that you would expect of the New England IPAs. If I'm comparing this to the other ones, be the New England Pales IPAs or double IPAs, this one to me is just a little bit crisper, and I suspect they've perhaps used Pilsner malt in the malt base, as I've repeated a couple of times. But you know, at the front part of your palate, I think there's a little touch of a kind of lychee, gooseberry sort of flavour. This one particularly when you go further into the aftertaste, and you've also got a little tiny touch of an almost blueberry note, which again is making me wonder about mosaic. I'm still not 100% certain that there's mosaic in there. I'm pretty sure there's Citra, and there's either Chinook or Columbus. I'm more inclined to say Columbus, but as I say, I like to play the guessing games with these beers, but mainly this one's quite a crisp New England double IPA in its malt base. The thing I do like about it as well is that you can tell it's a double IPA. It does give you a little bit of bite, which lets you know. The green side of the hops also have a good presence in this one. The further in the aftertaste you go, you can still get those floral qualities, and slightly spicy floral qualities at that, just ringing out in the beer. The malt base, like I said, smooths out. You get some of those bready notes and a little touch of a biscuity flavour, and you've got some of those lovely fruity, juicy notes in there as well. The mangoes and the grapefruit kind of shining through, and you get the lychee and things like that coming out a little bit later on. But you know, overall, this is a really nice New England double IPA, this one, and I can see exactly why it was recommended to me. So if you come across this beer, have a go at it. I think they really are kind of onto something like this. The other brewery that I guess that went straight out of my head earlier when I was saying you could compare this to in Sweden is Wapnö Gårdbryggeri. You know, that's another big farm brewery that you have away up in Dalarna County, but this one, you know, strikes me as being a very nice beer. So have a go at this for yourself and just see what you think. The other beer, of course, you could compare this one to is the New Sweden IPA from Wapnö Gårdbryggeri. But it certainly doesn't look out of place against the likes of Fata Morgana from Omnipollo, New Sweden IPA from Wapnö Gårdbryggeri. You know, the Conan double IPA from Brewski, the you know, the GBG and the Narangi from OO and from Stig Barretts and stuff like that. This really is, I think, that good. So huge thumbs up to the guys there, and I'd love to try some of their other beers and see what they're doing with some of the other styles, because they do brew quite a big variety of different things up there. So this is a brewery that I will definitely be keeping an eye on. In terms of the mouthfeel of this beer then, I would say mid-bodied. Carbonation's very smooth. The mouthfeel overall has a balance between wetness and it's more, it's as I said, I think overall this is quite a crisp double New England IPA. Even any of these beers that you get within the New England bracket, this one to me just strikes me as being a little bit crisper than some of the other ones, but it's got a little bit of a creaminess to the mouthfeel. You get that once your mouth adjusts to it a little bit more. It's got a good little bit of a hoppy bite to it as well. I think this one's touching near the sort of 40 IBU mark, maybe even a little bit higher than that actually, which is kind of unusual. Usually most of the New England IPAs are sort of around the 30 mark. I think this one's around the 40 IBU mark, which is a little bit different. But yeah, nice hoppy bitterness to this one, which I do like. A little bit spicy, as I say. I suspect Columbus has been used in this beer. But you've got a nice smoothness to the malt base. It's a little bit crisp, like I said. Sweet oaty qualities, a little bit of biscuity sweetness, and you've also got some nice juicy fruity qualities in there as well. But overall, a really nice New England double IPA, this one, and it's certainly not out of place against the New Sweden IPA, the Brewski IPAs, Stig Barretts, OO Brewing. You know, it really is up there with this one. So I'm surprised that this one isn't a little bit more well known, if you like. So a huge thank you for the recommendation for this beer. And you know, you guys that are watching the videos, please keep this coming. But I think this is, if more people find out about this beer, then it's one I think that will become quite popular over the next little while. But let's leave it at that for this one. A really interesting beer, and I'm glad I was able to review this for you. I'm definitely very curious to see how this brewery kind of go onwards now. This is a really nice beer. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Wapnö Gårdbryggeri, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys in the next little while. This one is the Alna Double New England IPA, or Double IPA just to give it its proper name, from the Wapnö Gårdbryggeri just outside of Halmstad in Halland County here in Sweden. Until the next time, it's Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys soon. Make sure you check out my social media, and make sure you check out some of these Wapnö Gårdbryggeri beers. Slange, skål!